So today what I want to do is actually show you how my algae scrubber is getting on. It's been a few weeks, I can't remember how long. It's probably been, I want to say probably nearly a month that I've had this algae scrubber running, and I've been checking it literally every day just because I wanted to see how much growth I had going on in there. And to begin with, it started off quite slow. If you saw the video I did previously to this one where I sort of showed you the tank and I showed you the sump setup and things like that, you would have seen that there's not a lot of algae in my tank, and I think that's down to the amount of filtration I've actually got in the bottom of this. I have been feeding slightly heavier just to try and get some more nutrients in the water, just so I can get some more algae growth basically. And since doing that, the algae did sort of go a lot quicker. The growth on it sped up amazingly. It just shows that how well the water quality in this tank is, sort of, from what I think. I did do some water tests on this about 2 weeks ago, and again all my levels were basically at zero almost. Everything is bang on, to be honest. I can't complain about it at all. And by adding that little extra bit of feed, the fish are obviously going to benefit from it. They're just going to get absolutely huge. And yeah, overall it's just increasing the bacteria, I guess, in the tank and the sump. So if you haven't seen the sump layout either, again, go check out my previous video. I did a full breakdown of everything that's in there. My ceramic chamber that I've got in there that's huge, the protein skim that's in there, and then obviously the algae scrubber. Again, I do plan on adding more filtration to this, more media as it were, just to try and increase it, because again, like I said, I want this tank to be basically maintenance free. I don't want to have to do hardly anything. All I basically want to do to this tank is maybe do a small water change once a month if I have to, clean the protein skimmer cup, which again, it doesn't really skim a lot just because there's not a lot in the water that needs to come out, and then scrape the algae scrubber probably once a month again when I do a water change. And ideally, if I can do all those three things once a month, which will probably take around, I don't know, half an hour to an hour max, then that's ideal for me. It just means that this thing's just going to look after itself, and it just means I can spend more time enjoying it basically rather than looking after it. But yeah, there's a lot of growth on this algae scrubber, so you're going to be impressed, I think. Getting this out is going to be a little bit tricky because of how much stuff I've got in there. It is very limited on space, but yeah, I think we can work. Oh, you can just see. I think he just died away, but I have recently added a new fish to this tank as well. But I'll do an update on that in a later video. For now, I just want to focus on this algae scrubber. So I just want to give you a quick view of what I see basically. Now, obviously with this, it is like I wanted to keep it as a self-cleaning tank. Basically, you want it to look after itself. This is the protein skimmer. Remember I told you the protein skimmer in here is absolutely massive. So you can see all that foaming up. I have my protein skimmer set really low. The bubbles sort of come up to here, and then the edge of the collection cup rim is sort of up there. So really I'm trying to keep this skim as dry as possible, just to reduce the amount of water that's going to end up coming out of the tank. But that's how much it skims. And with this chamber, this is my ceramic chamber over here that I've got, you can see there is sediment beginning to build up. Now this has been in here, I want to say, for over a year basically. And you can see there is sediment there, but there's not a lot. If you look down on the bottom, a lot of this stuff, there's no sediment there at all because it flows out. But you can see where this ceramic's pushed up against the glass. You can see where small amounts of sediment have built up. Now again, that's probably that's basically over a year now. And even here you can see it's a little bit fogged up, but a lot of that is more on the outside rather than the inside. So at some point, I am going to be taking all of this out, and I'm going to be doing a huge deep clean. So I'll be pulling all this out, giving it all a clean, getting it all out, and it just means I can change certain bits. Like this pipe I need to change, the outlet pipe just there, I want to change that. But yeah, it's going to be a massive job. I need a couple of days to do all that. But I just wanted to show you the view that I have of my algae scrubber. So I'll show you what it looked like before, so you can have a little look just to see what was growing. That was probably a couple of weeks, and I'll try and get the date on there just so you can see the difference. But yeah, this is how it's looking now. Again, it is quite hard to see, but you just can't see. All of that is basically pure algae. Again, I'll put a timestamp up of when I'm filming this, but again, all of that, it's difficult to see because there is so much algae and because it is so wet in there. A lot of it is just glare. But again, I still need to do more upgrades to this. I need to eventually print some lids to go on here. I need to change this cover, and I also need to change the spray bar inside there, as well as the feed pipe, that little pipe there. I need to change all that as well at some point. And then eventually this will be getting swapped around, so these two plugs will be eventually out there going out the back with all the other wires at the top. But yeah, I just wanted to get this running as soon as possible basically. So what I'll do is I'm going to get you on the tripod and I'm going to attempt to pull this out, and you'll probably be able to see how difficult it is to try and move it. Again, I am limited on space, but that's because of how much I wanted to cram into this small little area. Now there's going to be a lot of hands and arms and things that are in the way, but hopefully you can get the gist of how I get this out. So it's literally like, this is my hand, that's how much space I've got from the top of this to this. It does go up another couple of inches inside here, but it is very difficult to get into. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this spray bar off, and I can take out this top cover. This is just to eliminate any splash basically. Again, I'm going to change this up. I might 3D print another lid to go on top of this instead, but for now this is doing the job. As I said, I just wanted to get this on there as quickly as possible. So yeah, we're going to lift up the spray bar. Again, I want to adapt this as well. I want to change the way the water comes out. I don't think there's enough holes in here. I basically want more water to be going through it. And yeah, I've only put a few holes in this. I could take it out and drill more, but for the time being it's doing the job. I'm not too fussed about that, but eventually the new spray bar will have more flow. So ideally I should be able to pop this out. I don't want to put this tube here for now, just because that's where the lights are. The lights are waterproof to a certain degree, but the salt water and the corrosion and things like that, I don't really want to be getting that in there. So I'm going to try and keep that spray bar away for now. Then what I'll do is I'll just drop that spray bar just on the inside. So again, taking this out is very tricky. Because of this flow valve that's in the back here, if you've owned a reefer 350 or any sort of Red Sea reefer, they've got like the valve at the back, and you turn it, it just helps to quiet any noises. If you've got any gurgly noises, things like that, any water sort of gushing noises, you can turn that, and it's just a bit of a silencer, which is really good. Because I made this as big as I could, I literally didn't calculate for that little bit. I thought I had just enough room, but it's just over. But it doesn't matter. Again, it's one of them things, I can work around it. It is a little bit more fiddly, but you just manage, don't you? So what I have to kind of do is I have to sort of slide that tray out. I can lift that up, and already look, you can see all that algae that's on there. From here, again, it is a bit awkward. I have to sort of bend this up a bit. Again, I don't know how much of this you're going to see. I literally have to bend it, curve that screen, and pull it out. Look at that. All of that is solid algae. And as I said, it was growing very slowly to begin with. But then as soon as I increased the feed on the tank, and I've been putting all sorts in there. I've been putting frozen mysis shrimp. I've been putting chopped up whitebait fish in there. I've been feeding king prawns, mussels, yeah, a lot basically. A lot of nuri seaweed like you use for your sushi and stuff like that for the tangs. I've been putting that in there. So yeah, you can see there are some gaps still. Like you can see pink through the sheet, so it's not grown all the way through, but again, it is quite thick. I think if I harvest this now and scrape it off, that's going to give new algae a chance to go through. So I'll get this on a tray, we'll get it out somewhere else where there's a bit more light so you can see, and I'll just show you how I'm going to clean this off. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and scrape off this first layer. Just having a little inspect just to see what's on there basically. See, I'm doing this in my bathroom, so I've got an extractor fan going on, so try and ignore that. So I'm going to try and scrape off the first layers on both sides. Then I'll take the screen out, give it a good scraping, give this tray a good clean, and then get it all back together. Now you don't want to be scrubbing this with a brush or anything like that. All you want to try and do basically is get the outside layer of this algae off. So I've just got a piece of plastic, I've got an old screw lid that I'm going to be using. But yeah, all I want to do is just scrape off this top layer, turn it over, scrape that layer off, get it out, give it a proper good scrape, and I want to try and keep as much algae on this screen as I can basically, and that's just going to hopefully promote new growth. So yeah, we'll see what we can get off it. There's not going to be a great deal at the minute. Well, it's quite satisfying, but it's quite grim at the same time. Yeah, I'm not expecting to get too much off of this. As the months go on and the more scrapings I do and things like that, I'm hoping that it will be a lot more. I've seen some people harvest tons and tons and tons of stuff off of their algae scrubbers, and they're smaller than this. And that's one of the things that I wanted. I wanted a huge scrubber just to maximise the amount of growth that I could get, basically. But yeah, this is quite satisfying, I'm not going to lie. There's a fair amount coming off. You can see it's all different greens and reds, and there's some purples on there. So that's that first side done. There's quite a bit that's come off there, to be fair. I'm quite impressed with that. So we'll turn it over. Again, there's probably equal growth on both sides as well, which is good. It just shows that the lights are doing their job. But again, we'll have a go on this side. What I might do as well is I might get all this algae out, bring the water out, and then actually weigh the algae just to see how much I managed to actually get. And I might be able to do that for each harvesting, basically. There's a fair amount coming off, to be fair. I'm quite impressed with that. And again, like I said, the nutrients in my tank are very low, so I wouldn't expect there to be a ton of growth on this. So now I've scraped off that layer, I'm going to take it out and just give it a good one more scraping. So this should come out quite easy. You can see in the top that I've just got these little retaining pins. I've got 3 of them that hold it in. So this will slide out quite easily. And I put this little rail here just to stop any splash. Just to stop the lights from allowing the algae to grow up here. Obviously there is going to be a reflection. There is quite a lot of growth on the bottom here if the camera wants to focus. So what I'll do is I'll scrub all that off. I'm not worried about that. I'll give that a good clean. But yeah, that should be good to go. Now it's give me a chance just to get the rest of the algae that's sort of collected on this, so I can get along this top edge up here just to get a majority of that off as well. Now, this is the first time I've used an algae scrubber. I didn't really believe in them. I didn't really think that something as small as this could make that much of a difference. But from a lot of the stuff I've seen on YouTube, from videos people have put up, a lot of people swear by these, and they actually use these instead of a protein skimmer, which I was quite shocked about, considering the amount of stuff that my skimmer does pull out for such a low nutrient tank. Yeah, I was shocked that people were just getting rid of their protein skimmers completely just for these. But like I said, I want as much on there as possible. Yeah, it might be overkill, but every little percentage I can add to that tank's success is a win in my book, to be fair. So yeah, and as I've said, I do plan on getting more filtration stuff on there as well. I might add a reactor. I do have space for some reactors that I could chuck in there. I did talk about having a fluidized section where you have like the plastic media that tumbles. Again, that is another option that I might put on there, but it all comes down to space. I don't have a great deal of space, as you've seen from the sump video that I released. But yeah, again, it's all work in progress. I'm always working on improving stuff and upgrading things, adding new systems and things like that. So yeah, now that that's been scraped, you can see it looks quite brutal, quite savage, but this will actually benefit this algae scrubber in the long run. Hopefully all these areas that you can see here, they're not quite filled in. Hopefully that will now give the algae in that area a chance to grow a bit. just make it a lot thicker for the next time I harvest it. But yeah, I'm really impressed with that. So I'll chuck this to the side, and I'm going to put some gloves on because it's getting quite grim. We'll have a look just to see how much algae I've actually got in this tray. So I'm going to tilt this down a little bit just so I can get all the water and stuff to go down. I'm just going to start scooping all this algae up. There's actually a fair bit there. I'm quite impressed. Now the majority of this is going to be water. Yeah, if I just get a good handful of that, you can see there is quite a bit. But yeah, I'm really impressed with that, to be fair. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and collect as much of this as I can. I'm going to squeeze all the water out of it, and we'll chuck it on the scales and we'll see how much this actually weighs. Now I have seen people, I can't remember who it was I watched now, they collected the algae that they've grown on their algae scrubber, and they've actually dried this out, rolled it into sheets and fed it back to their fish. I don't think I want to do that, because what this algae does, it absorbs all the nutrients in the water. I feel like if you do that, you're just sort of reintroducing them back into the tank, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put this outside, I'm going to let it dry out, and then I'm just going to dispose of it. But I've got most of the water out of that now. I've got a couple of other bits there, trying to scrape up as much as I can. So I'm not going to be able to get all of it, but at least I can get a good amount. It is quite disgusting. It doesn't particularly smell bad. Literally just smells like you're at the seaside, basically. But yeah, so that is what we've managed to harvest. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's a good amount, good decent amount for the first harvest anyway. Little nugget. So I'm going to chuck this on the scales quickly. There you can see I've got it on the scales. That's 23 grams of algae. Obviously it is a little bit damp still, but that's not bad. That's quite an amount when you think it is just like leafy plant material. So now I've done that, I'm going to give this spray bar a good scrub, and then we'll get it back in the tank and get it running again. Now getting this back in should be a lot easier. So it's a case of putting this tray back in, getting that set down, and the screen should be a little bit easier to get back in as well. I just don't want to drip all that everywhere. So I should be able to just slide that in, and it should, once I've slid it in both ends, it should just drop down nice and easy, just like that. Perfect. The spray bar goes back on top, then the little spray defender just goes on top like that. Turn on the old pump. There we go. We are now flowing. There we are. So that is the update on my algae scrubber. You can see how messy it is down there. I do need to top this up. But yeah, now that I've done the algae scrubber, it literally took me, I was filming, so it's a little bit more awkward. But yeah, I'll say that probably took me, if I didn't have the cameras in the way and things like that, that's probably 10 minutes, if that, which is ideal for me. So I'm going to try and get onto a routine. That's every time I clean the algae scrubber, I'm going to clean my protein skimmer. So I'll just get into a good habit, and that way I can just keep that on the same day, get into a good rhythm, things like that. But yeah, other than that, stay tuned. I will be doing more upgrades to this tank and the sump, mainly the sump. The tank, there are some things that I want to change, like this rock work. I'm going to take a lot of this out, make it a little bit more airy. Look at that little guy, look at him. If anyone's watched my channel before, you'll know the love that I have for these. Oh, he's gorgeous. Look at him, he's so handsome. He's waving, hi. But yeah, there are some changes I want to do to this tank. I'm going to be adding some coral eventually. I need to upgrade these because you might notice I don't have a yellow tang in here anymore. I'm absolutely gutted. That is one of the fish I've had probably the longest time. I've had that fish since I've started this tank, which was like 10 years ago. And I come in one day, I moved these power heads just because the fish were, I think I mentioned in one of my previous videos, the fish were getting stuck to them. So I put them there, and I come in after work and my yellow tang was suctioned to it, and it was too late. So these things are a bane of my life. So I do plan on upgrading them, and I think I mentioned that in my old video before this, so definitely go and have a look at that, just so you can see what I'm going to be doing. But yeah, we'll be changing all this. This is all going to be changed eventually, but mainly most of the change is going to be down here, upgrading this. All of these electrics in here need to go. Don't even look at that, I don't want you to know. But yeah, that's all going to be changed at some point. But yeah, subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. Especially again, I'll probably leave that algae scrubber in there about a month, unless it does particularly well, then I might take it out sooner. But yeah, I will do updates on my Instagram and things like that, so again, follow me on Instagram as well so you don't miss out anything on that. And yeah, when I take this out, that's going to be a mega job. I'm not looking forward to it. I am going to try and film as much of it as I can, but yeah, that is going to be a ball ache. But yeah, other than that, hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it sort of helps. If you have any questions on this, please do ask. I am thinking about producing these in the future. It's not going to come with lights or pumps or anything like that, just because I don't want to get involved in the electrical side of it. I don't know how I stand from a legal point of selling electrical stuff with a product, but I will hopefully be making just the shells. So if that is something you're interested in purchasing, they're not bank breakers. You don't have to go out and spend £250–300 like you do with the professional ones on these. I'm not about that. I'm about just getting a product out there that works, that doesn't break the bank, because as you can see, everything I do it myself, just because it's so much cheaper to do it yourself than go out and buy something from a brand. You can buy the cheap ones, yeah, they're great for a while, then they break, and when you go and buy the expensive stuff, you're literally just paying for the label that's on it, basically just the brand name. So yeah, everything I've done here is DIY. If you have any questions about any of this, please let me know. Drop me a DM on Instagram or something like that, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.